Hello, my name is Cameron Farthing, and I'm going to be doing my presentation about my internship. I'm going to be looking at an overview of what my internship was, some of the background of the site that I did it at, and then going to talk about my project. I'm going to talk about what theoretical knowledge I was able to apply during my internship this semester. I'm then going to talk about some improvements for the program, and then also just some of the main takeaways that I got from this experience. So the first one, an overview of my internship. I was a sport performance intern at the Liamiti Warrior Center, which is on Colorado State University Pueblo's campus. I worked with two coaches, Rashad Harris and Matt Angeloni. I worked with a lot of different teams. This included football, women's lacrosse, men's soccer, track and field throwers, swimming, women's golf, men's golf, women's soccer, softball, and then volleyball. And then some of the tasks that I did throughout the semester was to correct athletes' techniques. I did this one a lot and mainly every session. I ran some circuits for men's soccer at the beginning of the semester. I warmed up a lot of different teams, including softball, volleyball, women's golf, etc. I ran some of the blocks of a workout that was mainly towards the end of the semester. I set up equipment, put equipment away, and cleaned the weight room when and where needed. So background and description of the site. So the Liamiti Warrior Center is located at the Thunder Bowl, which is on CSU Pueblo's campus. Coach Rashad Harris is the director of sport performance for CSU Pueblo, and then Coach Matt Angeloni is the assistant sport performance coach at CSU Pueblo. And then the mission of the sport performance team is to provide student athletes at CSU Pueblo with the best strength and conditioning resources to help improve their on-field performance. This is also going to depend on the team that they are, etc. And I think the two coaches did this very well. And then the photo to the right is just me warming up the women's golf team. So the project, Coach Rashad Harris set up a fundraiser for money to put towards post-workout snacks and drinks for the athletes. So I decided to create a survey in order to ask the student athletes their opinions on what post-workout snacks and drinks they wanted, just so that Coach Harris could use the money and the funds that he got and put it towards some snacks and drinks that he knows that the athletes are definitely going to want. To create the survey, I used Microsoft Forms. Once it was complete, I then sent it to Coach Harris and Coach A, and then they sent it to the head coaches of each team. So some of my results from this project, I got 98 total responses. 33% of these were freshmen, 16% were sophomores, 26% juniors, 19% seniors, and then 6% were fifth years. Some of the results that kind of stood out to me is that the athletes were quite knowledgeable on which which macronutrients they needed to prioritize after workouts and why this was important, which I thought was good, and it kind of showed that the coaches are explaining to the athletes why they need to be grabbing the snacks. Um, Another thing that I found was that a lot of the athletes stated that they couldn't get the current post-workout snack, which is chocolate milk, often because it wasn't available a lot of the time. I know the chocolate milk arrived on a Tuesday, so this was probably teams that were training on a Monday. I also know that some of the responses that I got back was that football took a lot of them, which, considering it's a big team, makes a lot of sense. Another response that almost shocked me a bit, and I saw it quite a lot, was that a lot of people didn't take the chocolate milk because it has too much sugar in it, which I speak about on the next slide a bit more. And then the athletes mainly wanted protein options, so bars, shakes, trail mix, beef jerky, little quick snacks that they could have with high amounts of protein in it. So as I said about the chocolate milk and the high sugar in it, um, I was able to find a resource, and Spacarotella and Anzal stated that chocolate milk is an effective post-workout drink, especially in females. So I think it is important that whilst Coach Harris and Coach A do emphasize the nutrition side of it, just to emphasize it a bit more and explain that although it has a little bit of sugar in it, that's fine because the athletes are working out twice a day, potentially playing 2 games in a week, if not more. So I think it's important just to emphasize that taking one chocolate milk isn't gonna have it's going to be more beneficial than harmful. I think the athletes wanting protein products was expected prior to the survey, so I'm kind of glad that I was able to kind of know that and expect that. And then I was also kind of surprised to see how passionate the athletes were about their nutrition. One, I got a lot more responses than I thought I was going to get. And then some of the open-ended responses were quite lengthy and gave me good detail. So I was kind of glad for this. And I think they realized that it will be beneficial for them in the future. So changes for next time for my project, I wouldn't change a lot for how I did my project. I got a lot of replies, and I got a lot of replies from most teams, which I was pretty pleased with. However, I think the next time I would send the survey or try and send the survey directly to the head coaches rather than going through Coach Harris and Coach A. Although that worked, I didn't get, like, for example, I didn't get replies from a single men's basketball player. I think I only got one reply from a baseball player when their team is quite large. So I think I would instead go to the head coaches, cut out the middleman, and yeah, it still doesn't guarantee replies from each team, but I think it kind of increases the chances. And so I would do that instead, I think. So applying kind of what I learned on site to what I already knew. Um, in a class just recently, I learned about linear periodization. And I realized that Coach A used a linear periodization model to train the volleyball team. Prestes et al. Found that linear periodization saw a higher percent increase in maximal strength for upper and lower body compared to reverse linear periodization. And this was cool to see because this was the result that Coach A wanted. He kind of explained that he wanted to get the volleyball team as strong as possible just before summer break because you've never got 100% guarantee that every single athlete is going to work out over the summer, although a lot of them will. There's still that chance that they won't. So if you can get the athletes as strong as possible before summer break, they're at least going to come into preseason a bit more stronger than if you didn't do it this way. So I quite liked being able to see that and to see him explaining that too was pretty cool. And then something else that I kind of learned or kind of saw through what I'd already learned previously in other classes was the importance of post-workout snacks. And I was able to see this through my survey. Another source, Winter 2025, spoke about the importance of protein and carbs post-workout, protein being able to help repair muscles, um, tendons, bones, etc. Carbs being able to replenish energy that was lost from the workout. So it's cool to be able to see that through my survey as well. So, improvements for the program. Overall, I was pretty impressed with CSU Pueblo's sport performance department. I think both of the coaches were able to coach a majority of the teams effectively, efficiently, and with purpose. And they were able to kind of tailor the workouts towards the team that they were training. If the team was in the off or like in the off season, or if they were actually in season, you could very much tell the difference between the workouts, which was pretty cool to see. One improvement that I do have would be to try and have Coach Harris and Coach A train every single team. For example, women's golf and women's tennis and men's golf, were coached by an intern each. I think it's a good idea because the intern gets hands-on experience, which was like pretty cool to see. I think next time either Coach Harris or Coach A could have been a little bit more involved just to help the intern make sure that their workouts kind of match what they need to be doing and going in the right direction for that specific team. But I think overall the program was good and I really enjoyed working for them. And then some of the main takeaways from my experience was the first thing is that the experience was great. Both coaches were really open to helping me kind of understand what was going on. If I had any questions, they asked them. Sometimes they asked me, which was pretty cool. They also, especially Coach A, kind of threw me into the deep end a lot, like making me run different blocks of different workouts, which was also nice because whilst it was nerve-wracking, it also helped me learn on the spot and kind of put me in an uncomfortable position, which will help me in the future. Um, I also thought it was nice to be able to link all the theoretical knowledge that I've already learned over the last 3.5, 4 years and be able to see the practical side of it. Being able to link the classroom to the hands-on experience was pretty nice to see and very much going to help me for my future. And yeah, I'm excited to be able to kind of take the knowledge that I've learned in the classroom as well as through my internship and take that to help me complete my master's degree in applied strength conditioning rehabilitation, which I plan on doing um, next year, so after I graduate. So that was also nice to be able to kind of get that knowledge to be able to take it into my future. And yeah, overall, my internship experience was great and I had a really fun time doing it. And then these are just the references that I used in my paper and throughout this presentation too. So thank you.